ॐ अन्तरायतिमिरूपशान्तये शान्तपावनमचिन्त्यवैभवं तन्नरं वपुषि कुञ्जरं मुखे मन्महे किमपि तुन्दिलं महः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः, गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। यस्यान्तर्नादिमध्यं न हि करचरणं नामगोत्रं न सूत्रं नो जातिर्नैव वर्णा न भवति पुरुषो न नपुंसं न च स्त्री नाकारं नो विकारं न हि जनिमरणं नास्ति पुण्यं न पापं तत्त्वं नो तत्त्वमेकं सहजसमरसं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। मौनव्याख्या प्रकटितपरब्रह्मतत्त्वं युवानं वर्षिष्ठान्तेव सदृशिगणैरावृतं ब्रह्मनिष्ठैः आचार्येन्द्रं करकलितचिन्मुद्रमानन्दरूपं स्वात्मारामं मुदितवदनं दक्षिणामूर्तिमीढे। वेदान्तार्थविभासकायेतये शान्ताय सन्न्यासिने नानावादिनगेन्द्रसङ्घपवये योगीन्द्रवन्द्याय च मोहध्वान्तदिवाकराय भगवत्पादाभिधां बिभ्रते तस्मै भाष्यकृते नमोऽस्तु सततं पूर्णाय बोधात्मने। अपारसच्चित्सुखवारिराशेः यस्योर्मिमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि। देहं मृण्मयवज्जडात्मकमहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तदभावसुप्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः। कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वरधिया दृष्ट्वात्मनिष्ठात्मनां सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं। स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। पवित्रं चरितं यस्याः पवित्रं जीवनं तथा पवित्रता स्वरूपिण्ये तस्यै देव्यै नमो नमः। ब्रह्मचर्यव्रते दण्डी सर्ववेदान्तपण्डितः श्रीमद्विवेकयोगी मां प्रचोदयतु सर्वदा। We have to recollect all the gurus on this auspicious day. This day of Guru Purnima is the most auspicious day for a sadhaka. This day we have only one thing to do, that is to express our gratitude. How can a person express his gratitude to his master? Only way is just tears, just bowing down. So this Guru Purnima is a special occasion where we have to recollect that supreme truth, to meditate on that supreme truth which has manifested as our Guru. This Guru Purnima day is very significant for a person who wants to find that ultimate peace within himself. This day is usually referred as Vyasa Jayanti, the birth day of Vedavyasa. Whatever today we call as Hinduism or Veda Dharma or Sanatana Dharma, it is all given to us by Bhagavan Vedavyasa. All the 18 Puranas, Mahabharata, Brahma Sutra, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, everything comes from Veda Vyasa only. So we are extremely indebted to that mighty sage. We don't consider him as a human being. All our Puranas, our masters have said that Vyasa is Vishnu himself. Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave Namo Vai Brahmanidhaye Vasisthaya Namo Namaha. So he is the greatest manifestation of that Guru principle. As far as Veda Vyasa is concerned, all the Siddhantas become one. Advaitis also consider him as the Guru. Dvaitis also consider him as the Guru. Vishishtadvaita followers also consider him as their Guru. So this Vyasa Jayanti is important for all people. And from this day, auspicious day of Vyasa Purnima, all those who are striving to attain spiritual perfection, they take a resolve to stay in one place for 2 months or 4 months and do tapasharya, some form of austerity, which can refine us, which can purify us, which can elevate us. Tapa, the word tapa means, if you put it reverse, it means pata. Pata means fallen. So anything that can give you a lift from your fallen state is a tapas. And generally for a seeker, a spiritual seeker, tapas means, what is tapas? The word tapas means heat. It also means tapyate, it means you get heated. It also means suffering. Tapa means suffering. You deliberately invite suffering to purify yourself. Or when suffering visits you, see, you need not invite suffering, because when you take birth here, you are out for trouble. From that day onwards, suffering starts. To endure this bodily life itself is a suffering. That itself is a tapas. And for a spiritual seeker who has taken a resolve to consider all the sufferings as a spiritual practice, it is a great experience. Na dukkham yadyad dukkham anupraptam taporupena bhavayet. That is a great teaching. Swami Tapovan Maharaj used to constantly quote this verse. He used to say, he used to walk in the Himalayas in severe cold. And that endurance he transformed as tapas, austerity. So he used to say that when destiny brings in misery in your life, we cannot predict what will come in our life. Next moment we don't know what will happen. So it can come in many forms, as separation, as disease, as old age, as penury, poverty, as insult, humiliation, anything can happen. So all that suffering, a sadhaka transforms them. An alchemy happens inside the sadhaka. Just like you take that magic stone called Chintamani. They call it as philosopher's stone. And touch an iron piece, it becomes gold. That's a story. Perhaps it's an imagination, we don't know. Like that, with this knowledge of the self, you transform suffering into spiritual experience. This is an idea And this idea must be practiced by a sadhaka in his life. It needs tremendous willpower, it needs tremendous penance. So that kind of purification, a sadhaka takes a resolve that whatever suffering comes to me, I will take it as God sent, as the grace of the Lord. So Tapovan Maharaj used to say, suffer whatever destiny brings in, endure it, swallow it, digest it. And that kind of attitude makes you transform your prarabdha, your destiny, as a spiritual practice, as a tapas. So that is the deepest meaning of tapas. Because if you endure, if you invite everything that is miserable, your ego will be erased. Because you know what the ego is made of. Ego means it likes pleasure and it dislikes suffering, misery. When you are ready to invite misery, it is like doing surgery to the ego. The ego cannot endure it. That is why spiritual aspirants, they invite suffering. They don't wait for suffering to come. They go and encounter suffering on the way. So that kind of attitude makes us fearless, because we constantly fear about future. We don't know what will come in future. A sadhaka takes a resolve inside him, let anything come. He tells the Lord, Yadyad bhavyam bhavatu bhagavan purva karmanu rupam. Whatever has to happen in my life, O Lord, let it happen according to our karma that I have performed in my last birth or previously. Nobody can avoid it. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi used to say that whatever is destined to happen will certainly happen. Whatever you may do to avoid, it will come to you. So what are you going to do? So learn to endure. Maharshi gave a teaching to one aspirant when he said, Bhagavan, so much misery is coming to my life, what should I do? Then Bhagavan gave him 3 mantras. Endure, endure, endure. You just experience it. Endure it, no other way. You submit yourself. You allow that fire of misery to burn your ego. It is Lord's grace which comes, which visits you in that form. If you are prepared to get burnt in that fire, you will resurrect inside you as pure consciousness, as deep spiritual experience. If you try to avoid it, or if you try to dodge that experience, then you are waiting for something in future. Again, another birth, again another, you search for relief. This will continue. So we were discussing about tapas. This period of Guru Purnima, from Guru Purnima to 4 months, it's a period of tapas. Now Lord has given us a deliberate imprisonment, a deliberate period of seclusion. This virus, this pandemonium that is rampant everywhere, it is compulsorily making us stay inside our home or our ashram or wherever we are. So that is actually very helpful for a spiritual sadhaka. Otherwise, we will have our vasana will pull us out. Many actually sannyasis, they have to stay in one place for Chaturmasya. Even during that period, many will wander because they have many things to do. Unavoidable situations might arise. But now, Lord Himself has created such a situation that you are forcefully confined to one place. Now, our duty is to transform it as immensely beneficial, spiritually beneficial. That lies with a sadhaka. If you call it a suffering or a misery, then you will unnecessarily lament. It will become a great torture to you. So don't think it is a misery, just invite that misery. Let anything come. Yadyad bhavyam bhavatu bhagavan. Let me not forget you. Let me meditate on you. Let me spend this period as deeply as possible, as spiritual as possible. So this is the prayer that we should have during this Guru Purnima day. And from this day onwards, we should take this resolve to take the mind deep inward, to plunge within, to find our real nature, real source, to experience the deepest thing within us. All the sages have given us the intimation that truth is within you, the self, God is within you. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati. Lord is waiting for you in the deepest core of your being, in the heart. You have to surrender to Him. You have to meditate on Him. This is the best period for meditation. Now let us see how to meditate. What is meditation? Meditation, somebody asked Bhagavan Ramana, what is meditation? Bhagavan said, meditation is your real nature. In one place he said, you are always in meditation. Meditation is the nature of the self. So that is the Vedantic meaning. But from practically as a sadhana, sadhakas will ask, what should I do? How to quieten the mind, make the mind still. This is the question. The mind, what is this mind made of? Mind is nothing but thoughts. Bhagavan Ramana says, Vrittayo manaha. Mind means thought waves. Lot of thoughts. Innumerable thoughts. They arise like a swarm from within. And the more thoughts there are, the more you have disturbance. You are perturbed. So how to quieten peace and make the mind subside in the heart? This is the question that a seeker has to ask. Generally, the method is you meet a great master who gives you some method, you hold on to it, and you attain peace. And mind becomes peaceful. Generally, it might be some mantra japa. Some mantra is given, some nama is given, you chant it constantly. Mind is made of a lot of thoughts. When mind holds on to this mantra, this nama, slowly it becomes slow, mild, gentle. It quietens, settles in the center. The mantra throbs within. It mixes with the mind, with every thought, with every emotion, with every layer of the mind, and it throbs within every cell of the body. And slowly the mind becomes quiet, peaceful. Chanting the mantra is a very powerful method, very powerful sadhana through which we can quieten the mind. It should be done dirghakala nairantarya satkara sevito dridabhumihi. It should be practiced for long duration, constantly, with reverence. Then it gets grounded. You get established in that heart center. The mind becomes shanta. And through japa or some method, Or you can meditate on the beautiful form of the Lord. That is the devotional method. Devotees, they recollect the form of the Lord, whatever it might be, and meditate on that form of the Lord as Shiva or as Vishnu, or Krishna, or a Divine Mother, whatever form you meditate, the mind slowly gets one-pointed. Manasasya indriyanam cha aikagryam paramam tapaha. Shankaracharya often quotes this verse. What is great tapas? He says, the mind and the senses, they become one-pointed. It is tapas. It is austerity. So for that, you do japa, you meditate on the divine form, and that devotion, love arises in your heart. As Narada Bhakti Sutra says, Parama Prema Rupa, supreme love arises in the heart. And that kind of samadhi happens. The mind becomes ecstatic. And that samadhi is called Prema Samadhi. It is not the Jnana Samadhi, it is Prema Samadhi. Sri Ramakrishna was constantly in that state. He was in that state of Prema Samadhi. And that was very contagious also. People used to feel in his presence that love. One touch, one word from him used to put mature sadhakas into an ecstatic mood. So, if you carry that divine love in your heart, you need not lecture about love. Your very presence will emanate love. So that kind of love happens when you constantly chant the name of the Lord. You sit and practice it, chanting the name of the Lord, chanting the mantram. Then even when you walk, even when you travel, or even in sleep, this mantram will be constantly throbbing inside you. For that you have to offer yourself to the mantram. Your whole system has to absorb that mantram. It becomes Shabda Brahma. That Shabda means that sound. It gets saturated with pure consciousness. Then it becomes Shabda Brahma. When such a siddha, one who is accomplished in mantras japa, when he utters the name of the Lord, it will have so much love in it, so much power in it. It directly penetrates into the heart of the listeners. So that is the power of japa. And that japa sadhana should be practiced by sadhakas. That is the most common sadhana that everybody, all kind of sadhakas do. If not mantra, at least nama can be done, Mantra means you have some pranava or some bijakshara added to it. When it is not there, just Bhagavan Nama, Lord's name, you constantly chant day and night. No niyama, no restriction or method for it. You can constantly chant it. It becomes practiced. It should be like your breath. Then mind becomes peaceful. It gives you great inner beatitude. Then slowly, when the mind gets purified through sadhana, Bhagavatam says, without bhakti, the mind will not become pure. Yarhi abjanabha charaneshanayoru bhaktya chetomalani vidhamet gunakarmajani tasmin vishuddha upalabhyata atmatattvam sakshad yathamala savitar prakasha. When you have bhakti to the Lord, the mind becomes pure. And with that pure mind, you will behold the inner self, the Atman, as a clear eye will behold the sun, the splendorous sun. Like that, when the mind becomes pure, here and now, you will realize the self. All great jnanis, realized souls, they were all great devotees. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says in one of his songs to Arunachala, He says, Annamalai adiyenai and andre avi udal kondai. We think we do some sadhana and attain him. No. Even our sadhana happens inspired by his grace. He makes you do sadhana. So, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, a Jivan Mukta, one of the greatest of the sages, he says, Arunachala, you came, descended into my body. You took hold of my body and mind. Avi udal kondai. Now I have lost my body, I have lost my mind. That is the greatest achievement, Lord came and he took away, he stole. What did he steal? He stole the body, he stole the mind. Now no body, no mind. Then what exists? Only he exists. Only the Supreme Being exists. So Avi udal kondai. Enakor kurayundo. And Maharshi puts a question, do I have anything lacking in me? As long as the body and mind was there, some kind of unfulfillment was there. Whatever you might do, you feel unfulfilled. Something is lacking. But the moment you surrender your body and mind to the Lord, that is what we say, You have to surrender your body to the Lord, the mind to the Lord, your ego to the Lord. But here Bhagavan Maharshi says, I did not surrender. Ishvara came and just took away the body and mind. In Tamil we say it's Atkollal. He comes and catches hold of you. That is the power of might, power of grace. It's not that you offer the body and mind, he takes away the body and mind. When that you experience, you come in contact with a strange power, all purifying power, which we call as grace, kripa. In Tamil they say kripa sakshatkara. It is a Sanskrit word, but it is used in the Shaiva Siddhanta. They say kripa sakshatkara. When a person has the sakshatkara, realization of grace, when he meets this most divine principle in spiritual life, which we call as grace, kripa, that very moment, even the sadhana samskara will be erased. That sage, that realized person will not even claim that I did some sadhana. That also you will forget, because from the very beginning, only grace exists. Avan arulal avan tal vanangi. Manikya Vachakar says, by his grace I was able to bow down to him. By his grace I was able to recollect him. So it's all love, the divine love. So Bhagavan Ramana says, I have nothing lacking in me. Lord, when you took my body and mind, I became full. If there is something lacking in life, when we say this is good, that is bad, and Bhagavan says, Kurayum gunamum ni. Both good and bad, whether auspicious and inauspicious, pleasure and pain, everything is you, O Lord. Everything is offered to you. Nothing exists. No more I will think about these things. And with his whole being, with his heart, that great Jnani, he addresses Arunachala as Kanne, O my beloved, Undan Kajalinayil Kadal Perukke Taruvaye. Give me flood of love. Give me flood of love to your feet. Let me not forget you. When I think about you, let my whole being melt. In one place, Manikya Vachakar says, let my whole body become the heart. In spiritual aspirants, they usually ask, where is this spiritual heart located? Whether it is in right side or left side. Then you have to quote this saint. He says, Udambe ullam. The whole body becomes, ullam means heart. The whole body becomes heart. In another expression, he says, the whole body becomes eye. Udalallam kannagi. The whole body becomes your eyes, and every cell becomes eyes, and through the whole body tears flow. That kind of melting love, that kind of bhakti, Maharshi says, Arunachala, you have taken my body and mind. If you want to give me something, give me that kind of kadal peruk, that supreme love, that flood of love you bestow on me. If that kind of love comes, your whole entire life will be in inundation, in bliss. That is the state of a Jivan Mukta. After attaining the self-realization, Ramakrishna says, the body lives in bhakti. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi also lived like that only. 54 years, he lived at the valley of Arunachala, looking at Arunachala. The moment he looks at that hill, Arunachala, tears will flow. Even his last moment when devotees were chanting Arunachala Shiva, tears were flowing from his eyes. So that kind of bhakti is that kind of Guru Bhakti. All the great saints and sages have shown through their life that we should have that kind of bhakti to Guru Charana. Guru Charanambuja Nirbhara Bhaktaha. Shankaracharya says, if you have that kind of immense devotion to the Guru's feet, samsara dachirat bhava muktaha. One word from the master, you will be free. That has happened with many. One word from the master. Tayumanavar says, the master told me one word, and wherever I looked, everywhere there is effulgence, effulgence. பார்த்த இடமெல்லாம் பரவெளியாய் தோன்ற ஒரு வார்த்தை சொல்ல வந்த மனுவே பராபரமே. So one word from the master removes the ignorance. He says, Tattvamasi, you get established in the self. No more you consider that you are the body or the mind. Today I was listening to Akhandananda Saraswati Swami, where he says he had association with many saints. One of his masters, about whom he says, when he gave me, perhaps he gave the sannyasa guru himself. After giving sannyasa, he said, from this moment onwards, no more consider yourself as jiva. That was the Upadesha, Mahavakya. No more consider. That one word, he says, there was no jiva kalpana in my heart after that. As a great saint who lived in Vrindavan, Akhandananda Saraswati, so many Bhagavata talks he has done all his life, was a thorough great scholar and a Brahmanishta. There is one beautiful anecdote which I want to share with you about Akhandananda Saraswati. In one of he himself narrates these stories. Once he went to Rishikesh. There he met a great saint, a very great renunciate. At that time he was a family man, householder, but was born in a very learned Brahmin family, Vedic family. So from his childhood itself he had learned Vedas, Bhagavata, Shastras, and was a great sadhaka. So as a sadhaka he went to Rishikesh, and there was a very virakta sadhu, a great Mahatma. When he saw that Mahatma, he was greatly attracted to him. He was a thorough Vedanti. But he had never heard Bhagavata. He thought Bhagavata is all story, so he was not interested in hearing Bhagavata. But Akhandananda Swami, in his Purvashram, his name was Shantanu Dvivedi or Trivedi. I think it's Shantanu Dvivedi. He told that Mahatma that I want to read and tell Bhagavata to you. That Mahatma said, see, I am not interested in hearing any stories. We have this Vedanta Jnana. It is enough for me. Then Maharaj told him, Swamiji told him, for my sake, I feel like telling Bhagavata to you, please listen to me for my sake, for my own happiness. So that Swamiji said, okay. Then every day Swamiji went there and read Bhagavatam to that Mahatma and expounded also. And that saint was listening with tears in his eyes. He was overwhelmed because he never expected so much of profound Vedantic truths in a text which is famous for bhakti. Bhagavata is actually more than bhakti, it is a Paramahamsa Samhita. It is a text of Jivan Mukti. Only those who have gone through it, they will understand it. So when Akhandananda Swami spoke about it, this Mahatma heard it. After fully listening, last day he said, Shastriji, you are my Acharya now. You have given me so much Bhagavatam. So I have to give you something, some dakshina. Then Swamiji said, no, Swamiji, this is a great blessing that I got to read Bhagavatam to you and to tell. I just did this as an offering. As a Brahmana, I do not have anything else to offer. I am just offering you this Bhagavata Shastram. Only that was my intention. Then that Swamiji said, from your standpoint it is okay, but I have enjoyed it thoroughly. That was a great spiritual experience, so I want to give you something back. And I am also a sadhu, sannyasi. What can I give you? So I today give you one thing. We can say it's a boon or something, is that Swami said, from this moment onwards, you will not have any identification with your body. That was the blessing. No, who can give such a blessing? Only God can give such a blessing. Only Brahmanishta Mahatma can give. Because he was pleased so much by that motiveless devotion of Shantanu Shastri. And he said, from this moment onwards, you will have no Dehatma Buddhi. And believe or not, Akhandananda Swami says, whether you believe or not, from that moment, my body identity dropped off. With the same conviction, Maharaj says, my body identity dropped off. So that is the power of Guru. That is the power of the words of saints. Actually, that is Satsanga. Satsanga is not simply you keep a mic and arrange some people to listen and speak something. That is not. Satsang means when you contact a saint, when in Tamil there is a saying, when there is a meeting with a saint and a devotee, an imperceptible third person arrives there. And that third person is God Himself. That is the experience of the divinity. So that is the Purnima. Purnima means that full moon, you know. The full moon has to arise inside us. Sometimes Divine Mother is called full moon. Lalita Parameshwari, Divine Mother, she is called as full moon. And what is she made of? She is made of the full moon of divine experience. Rakha Chandra Samana Kanti Vadana. Rakha Chandra means full moon. That silvery disk, that calmly moon. Its cool rays, like that when you have devotion in your heart, there is immense coolness in your heart. As Bhagavan Ramana says, Chittam Kulira. When devotion comes, mind becomes cool, Shitalam. The heart becomes cool. All the burning sensation of burning memories of destiny will be all removed, erased. The mind becomes peaceful, the brain becomes cool, the ego subsides. And that is the greatest blessing that Guru, Dakshinamurti, or Narayana, or Vedavyasa, or Bhagavan Ramana, or Shankara Bhagavatpada, or Ramakrishna, whomsoever you are worshipping as your master, the only prayer that we have to keep at their feet is to have incessant devotion, incessant bhakti in our heart, so that whatever we may forget, we will never forget the feet of the Master. We praying for that blessing, we'll offer this Guru Purnima message as a flower at the feet of that Supreme Universal Guru. Hara Namah Parvati Pataye Hara Hara Mahadeva.